Yes! Yes! My lords! My lords and ladies!
Yes! The battle has begun, my friends. We go on a grand adventure to England, where we will fight the Anglo-Saxons.
Yes! Oh God, get it off! Get it off! Yeah, so I see the trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It does look really good, apart from the fire arrows. Just forget the fire arrows. Just ignore the fire arrow part. But yeah, you know, it's based on relative historical accuracy, I suppose. Usually, it's an alternate version of history, but I thought I'd just do a quick video just to show you guys of what England was like in the setting which it's set in, which is 873 AD. So obviously we've got the height of the Viking invasion in this period, and they've actually gained a foothold on the British Isles in England. They start off in East Anglia and they take Northumbria and they take York as well. And from this foothold they then spread. So I thought I'd quickly show you guys what it was like in England at this time. Everyone knows that England was invaded by Vikings, and in the year 793, so 793 AD, we see one of the first kind of significant Viking attacks on English soil, and this is at Lindisfarne Priory. And Vikings go in there, it's like a monastery. They go in, they slaughter the monks, they throw them in the sea, they get lots of treasure, and the Vikings, they can't believe it. They're used to having, you know, battles and whatnot. They're used to having a bit of resistance, but in England, actually there isn't much resistance to the Vikings' attacks. They come over on the longships, they see the churches, the monasteries, and they've got a lot of wealth because Catholic monasteries and churches are filled to the brim with statues. You know, they've got nice stained glass windows. There's a lot of riches and wealth in the monasteries in this time period, and they can't believe, the Vikings, that how unprotected that these monasteries are. So they come over, and Lindisfarne Priory in the 700 AD, this is one of the first kind of significant attacks, and they keep coming and attacking and raiding England because it is quite an easy target for these sea Vikings. When we get to 865 AD, this is when the Vikings see England not just as a place where they can do their raids and bring back wealth. They see it as a place, like, it's kind of cool. It's a nice place to go and live. So they get an army and they go for an invasion. And this invasion is led by the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok. Yeah, from the TV show Ragnar Lothbrok, and they launch this invasion fleet and they land at East Anglia and they start their invasion. Initially, they kind of get the main kind of area and they go north and they take over York, which is known as Jorvik back then as well. So Jorvik, York. So what do the Anglo-Saxons do? This is the time period in which Assassin's Creed Valhalla is set. It's set just as the Vikings have got this foothold on England. So after the initial invasion of the Vikings, they start influencing, they start stretching out, taking more and more regions across England, and one on one they surely fall to the Viking threat until they meet Alfred the Great, and he is the one who puts a stop to the movement and the spread of the Viking scourge, and he beats them at the Battle of Edington. And they have to come to a treaty after this, and basically this introduces something called the Dane Law, and this splits England in half, kind of down the middle. You've got the north, east. This is Dane law, controlled by the Danes. This has political rule, which the Vikings are going to enforce. And basically the southwest side, this remains Anglo-Saxon. So they've split England right down the middle. And this is the time period that Assassin's Creed Origin finds itself in. So it's going to be quite cool. The way that King Alfred kind of looked after and kept the rest of the land locked down to prevent further invasion was quite clever. He introduced something called a burh, which is a fortified settlement. You basically get a nice village that would be weak to Viking invaders coming charging in, and you get a nice wall put around it. Maybe you put a ditch around it, a nice gatehouse, and you keep it nice and fortified. And also what he did, he made it so he always had reserves in his army. So you've got 50% of kind of all of the population, and they were ready to fight. 50% in the army, 50% to go and be normal villagers and to kind of do labour, that kind of thing, to be farmers. And this way, and using these tactics, he had a network of these villagers dotted around, and they could move quickly between each one and reinforce the other. So when the Vikings were coming to attack, they would be repelled, and then you could get reinforcements to the other burhs. So that is how King Alfred the Great locked it down. The only thing I was thinking though, for Assassin's Creed fans, there's a lot of climbing and stuff, but in England in this time period, I was thinking there won't really be much to climb, because probably the tallest buildings are probably churches. Obviously castles are not introduced till after 1066, and William the Conqueror comes over and he starts building motte and bailey castles, which are then replaced with the Norman stone keeps, and that's when our castles start to get really big, and that would be really good because you could climb up it. But until this point, England doesn't really have a castle like what you think of a castle, your stereotypical castle with your massive keep, your massive towers, which would be great for Assassin's Creed, like you've seen in the first Assassin's Creed game in the Crusades. But in England in this time period, in the 800s, there's not really going to be any castles. So yeah, that's the only one. But, you know, it's going to be a very cool setting. You're going to have Vikings, Anglo-Saxons, all trying to control this land. But yeah, I thought I'd just give a bit of context on what you can expect from England and kind of, you know, what is actually in the game and what's the world that it's set in. So that's a very brief overview and a very simplified, dumbed down version of the Viking invasion of England. Thank you. My name's Scott, and I'll see you on the battlefields.